This news update is brought to you by...
So, I'm meeting Rico later. Gotta check in with the girls, but first, let me check my usage on the MindLime app. Now, what should I wear? Hashtag sexy. He's here.
Thursday, May the 21st, 2015, and this is your Barbados Today morning news update. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. We begin with news that the 18-year-old U.S.-based sister of Shemar Weekes has been talking about her little brother's apparent suicide. The last time Keandra Weekes saw her 12-year-old sibling in person was immediately after the passing of their grandmother on May the 23rd, 2012. That's when she last visited Barbados for the matriarch's funeral. Now exactly 3 years to the day, she's preparing to return to Ireland, this time to bury her little brother. She tells Barbados Today his death still really hasn't registered in her head yet. The American-born Keandra, who is the oldest of Julianne Weekes' 3 children, noted that sometimes she forgets Shemar is gone and thinks she is going to call him, but then it just hits her in the face like a brick. Keandra, who is the only one of her mother's children born in the U.S., said though family life was not always easy, she never expected him to take his life.
It's crazy because I love Shemar. That's my crazy little brother. He always writes, like if he's by my auntie, Maybelle, the one that I talk to, Clarissa. If he's by her, he talks to me, he writes me on her Facebook and things like that. I have a daughter, and he'll tell me my daughter looks so sweet and everything, and it hurts because he never even got to meet her, and he was so excited to be an uncle.
Meanwhile, the autopsy on the body of Shemar is expected to resume at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital today. The procedure, which came to an abrupt halt on Monday, was postponed yesterday again after the Russian-born forensic pathologist, who was to be flown in from Trinidad and Tobago, reportedly missed his flight. The services of the expert was requested by the Barbadian police authorities after it was determined that the post-mortem being conducted on the Coleridge Parry student who was found hanging at his Checker Hall St. Lucie home last Thursday night needed a more scientific approach, which is not available in Barbados. The reconstituted Employment Rights Tribunal started hearing its first case yesterday afternoon in the auditorium of the Warrants Office complex of the Labour Department. However, the much-publicized and controversial retrenchment of the more than 200 National Conservation Commission workers was not heard. While not being able to say exactly when this politically charged NCC matter will begin after more than a year of waiting, Tribunal Chairman Hal Gollop QC gave the assurance it is high on the agenda and being treated with urgency. Before getting down to business, Gollop addressed the hearing, which is open to the public.
This session will mark the beginning of a new jurisprudential era, by which the old doctrine of wrongful dismissal has given way to that of unfair dismissal pursuant to the introduction of the Employment Rights Act. This will be the first occasion on which the Employment Rights Tribunal will be called upon to exercise the jurisdiction pursuant to the said Employment Rights Act.
The hearing continues on Friday, May the 29th at 2 p.m. at the Labour Department. Meanwhile, Acting Assistant General Secretary of the National Union of Public Workers, Wayne Waldron, is describing the delay in the Employment Rights Tribunal to hear the National Conservation Commission retrenchment case as a miscarriage of justice. Speaking against the backdrop that the first case heard by the tribunal yesterday related to the dismissal of an employee of KPMG in September 2013, Waldron said the NUPW had not yet received any written information from the tribunal as to when the NCC matter will be dealt with.
To date, we have not received any communication to our representatives that they are ready to meet with the NUPW and other parties to have this matter heard. We are very concerned. Workers have been calling constantly, expressing concern with this process. We believe that justice in this country must be taken seriously when it comes to workers' plight, and we are extremely concerned that with the delay in which this matter is taken to be heard. This is a reflection of justice in this country, and we see this as a miscarriage of justice.
In other news now, Finance Minister Chris Sinclair is urging Caribbean countries to set a new agenda for reform. Sinclair feels this should combine systems that worked in the past with a new technology in order to create a more enabling environment for economic expansion. But he warns that as countries re-engineer the economic structures, they cannot afford to leave people behind. He sounded the warning at the start of the 45th meeting of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank in St. Kitts yesterday.
A new platform, so to speak, to ensure that all of our vital sectors are strategically positioned and supported by developmentally strong human populations and environmentally secure environments. And while we are encouraged to re-engineer our economic structures, as we will hear during the course of this meeting, and of course as we have heard in the past, so as to increase, quote-unquote, our global competitiveness through creating a more pro-business environment, we must not afford ourselves the luxury of forgetting that there is no security in economics if there is insecurity and dislocation in society. Success in both must be achieved as a symbiotic advance, with each undergirding the other, but none acting in a way to undermine the overall objective of balanced and sustainable development.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. Humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter, that's the move for me. Stability, prosperity, we're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
To news from our regional neighbors now, Guyana's new President David Granger gets down to business. Yesterday, he appointed a Prime Minister and 15 ministers to help him run the country's affairs. More in this report from Capital News.
After the swearing-in of Moses Nagamutu as Prime Minister and first Vice President, several other ministers of government took the oath of office before President David Granger. They are Ms. Amna Ali, Minister of National Cohesion, Ronald Bulkan as Minister of Communities, Carl Greenwich as Minister of Foreign Affairs, Cathy Hughes as Minister of Tourism, Mr. Winston Jordan as Minister of Finance, Valda Lawrence as Minister of Social Protection, Dr. George Norton as Minister of Public Health, David Patterson as Minister of Public Infrastructure, Dr. Rupert Roopnarine as Minister of Education, Basil Williams as Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Simona Brooms as Minister within the Ministry of Social Protection, Dr. Karen Cummings, Minister within the Ministry of Public Health, Annette Ferguson as Minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, and finally a surprise announcement, the only person unknown to politics, Nicolette Henry as Minister within the Ministry of Education. Earlier in the day, Joseph Harmon was sworn in as Minister of State to manage the affairs of the Office of the President and other key agencies.
And finally, on the international scene, Sri Lanka police are trying to contain a number of protests across the country following the rape and murder of an 18-year-old schoolgirl last week. 9 suspects in the killing have been arrested, but police are still being blamed for failing to save the victim. Local people allege that a student from an island near Jaffna City was gang-raped before she was murdered. Demonstrators are demanding immediate punishment of the arrested suspects, and some have even taken matters into their own hands by burning the houses of 3 of the suspects. The protests by angry residents have also led to a shutdown of the country's main city, Jaffna. And on that note, we end our Barbados Today morning news update, but you can join us again this afternoon. Until then, remember to log on to www.barbadostoday.bb, subscribe to our e-paper and email updates, or like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Also tune into Channel 101 on Lime TV as well as Mix 96.9 FM to get all the latest news and the sports. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.
This news update is brought to you by...
So, I'm meeting Rico later. Gotta check in with the girls, but first, let me check my usage on the MyLime app. Now, what should I wear? Hashtag sexy. He's here.